Welcome back. Run it back. Chandler's having some issues right now. He's back. Had him all last season. It was fantastic. Senior NBA writer for The Athletic, Sam Amick is back on the show. There he is.
There he
Boom,
is.
different
Welcome
room.
back,
Oh, no, this is a hotel. We're in a hotel, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. We were looking forward to the toucan.
Yeah, we wanted a toucan, but that's all right. Well, first of all, how was your off season? Did you get any good times?
I was good, guys. Great to be back with you. It was good until like September when all the non-basketball stuff popped up and we got a little too busy too early. But, you know, we got to the Hawaiian Islands. We got away and happy to be back.
Well played, sir. Well played. All right, well, we are going to just do basketball because I know yesterday was another one of those types of days. But LeBron out to start the season with sciatica. I know that threw a lot of people off kilter, but here we are. Then they lose opening night to the Warriors. All eyes will always be on that team. We know that he is monitoring the situation. Is there a world in where we see him ask for a trade this year?
I think there's a world. I just don't see it because honestly, I think LeBron and even somebody of Giannis' stature, when you talk about being younger and at this point better, today's NBA, you move around. And I think honestly, that's kind of what these guys learned in the summer is that if you're Giannis and you're frustrated with your situation, and I know we're going to talk about him, if you're LeBron and you're not quite sure that you might want to finish things up in Lakerland, you look up and it's the second apron environment. It's the fact that, you know, free agency even is not what it used to be. You can't go get that max deal somewhere else. And trade-wise, it's funny, it was on my mind last night watching that Warriors game because we know about LeBron having shown some interest to maybe join those guys, which, you know, if you could just snap your fingers and make it happen, it would be interesting. It's just not that simple. So never say never, but I was in LA for the opener, and it was kind of sad to see him on that sideline knowing that A, he's not healthy enough to go, and that B, it's just kind of crunchy right now when it comes to this final chapter for him.
Yeah.
Sam, you know all things Warriors, so I got to ask you about the whole Jonathan Kuminga thing. Obviously, right before the season, he signs that 2-year deal, and there's still a bunch of chatter, and now he's still a trade piece. He started both games. He's played pretty good first 2 games of the season. Is it more likely that he's still a trade asset and he's going to be moved to the deadline, or is he now officially a piece of that kind of core and future going forward?
Chandler, I think it's both. You know what I mean? It's funny. I talked to some Warriors people after they beat the Lakers about that question. And my thing was, all right, now how long is this list of players that they would legitimately think about moving JK for? And I was a little shocked to be told that it's kind of like 1.5. I mean, I'm sure it might be longer than that, but we know that if something happened with Giannis, and we have to find out if he even would ever want to go there, that would be a guy that you know, John would be in a deal like that. From there, Trey Murphy III's name comes up, but because he's looked good and because Steve Kerr's, you know, been praising him for changing his game a little bit, and you start hearing the maturity word quite a bit, I think it's interesting, though. It's like it's a chicken or the egg. You know, even though his contract is not what he wanted it to be, he is finally getting paid to some degree. You know, he's had these moments where Steve Kerr feels like he's done some of the stuff that he hasn't in the past that frustrated them. And his teammates have been supporting him and rocking with him. And like I got asked the other day, is there any, you know, friction between, you know, the guys in the locker room? And I don't think there's any. They've managed to make it work, and it's only a couple games, but it's looked pretty good.
Starting off 2-0 also helps, though.
Yeah, that's also,
yes,
that
indeed.
feels great. The Giannis trade saga. Look, the Knicks part of all of this is going to be fascinating for a while. You started an article that's with to be continued. He's too good a dude to not request it publicly, but I don't know what's going on behind closed doors there. Is this something that strictly will be dealt with after the Bucks season, first of all?
I don't know. I mean, if they struggle, then I think you got to watch it. You know what I mean? Like I give the Bucks some credit in terms of the way they framed this thing after a kind of a loud summer with Giannis was that with, you know, Tyrese Halliburton's injury, with the Pacers and some of the other stuff that went on, you can squint a little bit and see a world where the Bucks can be one of the better teams in the East. They sold Giannis on Miles Turner at a time when, you know, when that deal first went down, it was hard to tell if A, he had been told about it and, you know, during the discussions, and B, if he was a big fan of it. Since then, you know, Giannis has said nothing but great things about Miles. So they have convinced him to kind of play ball with this group for now. As you guys know, though, he's been pretty candid about the way he sees it. And I kind of love that. Like, there's so much, when it comes to stuff that gets reported and then players speaking on it, where a lot of times they won't just say the truth about what's going on. He's been pretty transparent. Like, he's looking to contend. He loves Milwaukee. He loves the Bucks. It's nothing personal. But if it doesn't go well and if they really don't look good, then I think it could get louder.
I mean, look, the season's still going on, and he's spotted crossing the street with his family in Manhattan. Like, that's a weird destination spot during season playoffs. But here's my question, though, because as fun as that seems to be, him playing in New York, what can they possibly offer to get a guy like Giannis?
I mean, Jalen Brunson's off the table. That in and of itself is probably a deal breaker for now. Where if you're the Bucks and you're John Horst, their longtime GM, John has also been transparent, at least behind the scenes throughout this whole thing, and saying like he's not gonna take anything less than like everything from you if he's ever gonna trade Giannis. That he's coming for blood, so to speak, as far as a deal like that, because that market and that franchise, that's the greatest player they've, had since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and they want to survive if they have to move off of him. So with Jalen off the table, then the discussion, kind of shifted to the other guys on the roster, but there's nothing there. There just isn't. And the Knicks, at least for now, it's a little bit like with the Bucks, where you got to see how they play. New York, it sounds counterintuitive, but they legitimately looked at the Giannis thing and said, we're pretty invested in what we have right now. We just added Mike Brown as our coach. We think that we're legitimate title contenders, and that belief in what they have, at least for now, again, kind of pushed that situation back a bit.
Hold on. Wait. So if they could have figured out a way, something, they were like, nah, we're good?
Yes. It's kind of like put it in the back pocket. And honestly, I think Giannis knew that. You've lodged your interest in us, but the question is, were they ready to go ahead, hit that button, and blow up all the work they'd done to build this roster, and the season they had last year? And, the coaching change obviously was pretty controversial, but they thought they leveled up. Agree or disagree, that's how they saw it. And no, they didn't want to hit that button and start over. Now, I don't know where the deal could have been done on the Bucs side with John, but yeah, the Knicks, they feel really good about what they have, and they're kind of waiting on the other situation.
That's a little shocking to me. By the way, if it's not New York, because 2 years ago, did I not say Giannis is going to be a Knick when it's all said?
You sure did.
So I'm already committed to that mentally. But if it wasn't there, is there another team that we could kind of look to possibly?
I don't know, but we're talking Warriors. I did spend part of yesterday trying to get some clarity, like on that scenario. If you go back to All-Star Weekend, and I've written this a little bit, Steph Curry hosts a party at the Splash Restaurant and Bar next to Chase Center. And honestly, just in terms of this job cracking me up sometimes, it's late night. There's, people around the NBA all over this party, and I'm actually sitting there talking to Joe Lacob at this thing, and I look up at the stairwell, and none other than Giannis, the only non-Warrior in the room, is going up the stairs with his wife Mariah and going to hang with, it was Steph and Draymond up there. And it just, the optics of it made you go, oh boy, here's like early recruiting days. It made you kind of think of the KD, kind of partnership that they had back in the day. I kind of circled back on some of that stuff yesterday, and it was actually kind of told like, yeah, they're obviously good relationship, good, friendly. Steph has the same agency as Giannis, but not the type of smoke you might have thought as far as, that being something that was kind of percolating in the background. New York is the only one right now for me where it's really clear that Giannis does have interest there.
Yeah, and Sam, I know the season is very early, and like you said, we're trying to sort out all of these different scenarios. But if there had to be one big name to be moved by the deadline, what's your guess on that?
I don't know about moved, Lou. I think, and we might hit on this a little more later, but the Atlanta situation, it's not about getting moved. It's just like I find Trae Young's situation interesting because, the cryptic social media posts about his contract and the fact that they didn't get an extension done, and you got all this positive hype about who the Hawks can be and the good offseason they had. You got Trae, who was able last year to, I think, kind of reshape the narrative around the way his game is perceived in a really good way. But the lack of a deal is, I think, testing some of that stuff when he's coming up on free agency next summer, if they don't get something done. And he's a guy that obviously feels like he's invested a lot in that market, and you can presume, is a little put off by the fact that he didn't get a deal. So, like, as a team that could have a really good thing going, but where that one element could be tricky, I mean, could that lead to a move? No, I don't think so. But he comes to mind as far as just some of those dynamics.
Sam, after Houston's opening night game the other night, as good as Amen Thompson was kind of playing point, showing us athleticism, Boogie especially, but we all agree that maybe they need to sign a point guard, right? Even though they have Reed Shepherd there, he struggled a little bit. Is that going to be a priority for them moving forward, or are they good with what they have, you think?
Chandler, I think they're good for now. I mean, the Amen Thompson, hype train is real. They're on it. Everybody's on it. Now, I didn't break down their game the other night. I don't know how much he ended up handling the ball, but you got a playmaker and a guy who can dish it in Şengün. Even Kevin at times can help with the offensive load. It seems counterintuitive. I know that I saw a clip the other day of John Wall telling Chris Haynes that they needed a point guard ASAP. So maybe John's ready to come out of retirement. But I don't see options out there that work. I mean, it's terrible what happened with Fred, not only just because of what he brought to the team, but his leadership and the stage he's at career-wise, and they got that deal done, and he was going to be a massive part of their group. But I think they roll with it for now, and Amen being probably the biggest reason, because quietly last year he was like maybe the number one guy around the league that people were saying could be special, but we hadn't really woken up to yet. And you kind of want to see if this unfortunate situation might actually, kind of speed up that timeline for him.
Yeah.
All right, Sam, we're officially off and running. Appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
All right, we'll be right back after the break. Wrap things up.
Run it up, the run it back. Yeah.